Okay, so I made a little tutorial here, and the goal was to make a hummingbird cape, hummingbird feathers like this. So to get started, I just have this mesh, and I made a feather. This is a feather, and you can see from the face the angle of it. And I made this little polygroup. It could be much more complicated than this. And then you go B. I don't know why it's cutting off the bottom of my screen there. There we go. Okay, create insert mesh brush. I'm gonna make a new brush. You could append it if you wanted different feathers. You could have a bunch of feathers together. And then while it's that selected, just go right back and hit B again and create Nanomesh brush. And that basically creates a Z-modeler brush with that loaded into it. And so now if we drag it out, it'll drag out that feather on any polygon. And instead of a single polygon, we want all polygons. Or actually we want polygroup island, so it'll just come out on the green things, right? And we want it to align a certain way. When we draw it out, like this, we want it aligned to normal. And then once they all align to the normal, we just change the Z rotation until they point the direction we want. So now that we've done that, let's go back over to our mesh, and blammo, there they go. So let's draw those out like that. They're all a mess. And then you do align to normal. And then you do the Z rotation. And what else do we do? Well, in this case, they just look too regular. And if you don't want them to look like that, you could do two things. One is you could make the base mesh less even. And one way you could do that is to tessellate it. You could turn on the smooth brush and turn on this tool and go through and tessellate it, and then when you turn it back on, it would basically put them. Let me do that a different way. Make the brush bigger. Oops. Make the brush smaller. This is not really going to do exactly what you want, but all right. So that'll work. And so now what it would do is it would try to place them. This is. You can see it's starting to work right in here. Like that is what you want right in there. And so if you create this kind of tessellation, I don't even know how to do that. That's a good question for the ZBrush guys. Like, how would you make that if you wanted that as a universe, if you wanted to convert quads into that? I don't know. That's interesting. Huh. Anyhow, so let's undo that. All right, and then just turn show instances back on. And the other way to do it is if you have quads, and most of the time you would, I would think, because you're going to use that for something else. You would go to X offset and just give it a little X offset, not much, just a little bit, and then adjust the variability, and it will stagger them a little bit. And you could do a little bit on the Y too. Yeah. And then for the X rotation is going to make them lift up or go down. And I think what we decided we liked there was to have just a little bit of X rotation and give it some variability. And you'd use that if the bird had, if you wanted the feathers to look disheveled, like they were agitated or mussed up in some way. So anyhow, that's that. And then when you got it done, you got it the way you want it. Oh, let me show you this too. So it's only doing it to the portion of the mesh which is all this polygroup. So if I were to mask off part of this polygroup and give it, let me do it this way, mask off part of this polygroup and give it its own, then now it's not, it's going to keep this insert mesh there, and it's going to allow me to have another insert mesh here. I'm going to do a line of normal, change the rotation, and this allows me to have larger feathers on one place than another. And I've still got to go through and do the X offset and all that, but right. So now we've got larger feathers here and smaller feathers down there. You'd probably want the reverse actually, but that'll get you started. All right, and so then when you got that, you got two different kinds of feathers. You do one to mesh. There you go. And I had to do it twice, one for each one. And then I would hide the polygroups underneath. And I would just invert that selection, which is just Command Shift click, drag on the background. And then I would do split hidden, just so I had those. And now you got, these are ready to go. So, and the thing that I would want is I would want to give these a little thickness using dynamic subdivision. So I'm going to turn, well, that's actually kind of cool. Let me turn that down to 1. It's actually pretty cool. But I'm going to turn it down to 0 for now and just give it a little thickness. And what that'll do is it will mean that you can see it from the back, first of all, and that also you can make them as thick as you want. If you wanted to do like paper craft kind of style, you can do something like that. So that's kind of cool. So that's it. That's how you do. And now this is actual geometry, right? So you can go through and if you wanted to make one of these feathers out of place or longer, or lift it up or something, you could go through and do some of that. So that's it.